My name's Nick McLernon. I play guitar in Make Them Suffer, and we are coming out with our self-titled record November 8th.
Beautiful. Nick, thanks for joining us today.
Pleasure to be here.
Well, so as you say, bro, Make Them Suffer release your self-titled album on November the 8th. So how are you feeling this close to release date?
I'm going to be honest with you. I don't feel a thing. The last 2 years, we've been through very many ups and downs, a lot of downs. We've struggled through adversity, rather many adversities to be here. So I think that's desensitized us to, or at least me. I'm not sure if I'm speaking on behalf of the rest of the band, but I certainly feel desensitized um, to everything and lead up with the to the record coming out. I mean, I might feel different. I'm sure I'm going to. It's all going to catch up to me when the record actually does come out. But right now, this is the first time in 2 years I've actually gotten to relax and not think about music. Like we've been touring and writing since Doomswitch was released and since Alex joined the band. So this is the first time I actually don't have to think about music.
I'll try not to ask you too many thinking questions today then, bro. So this is going to be the band's fifth album. So why is now the right time to put your name to it and make it a self-titled album?
Uh, could go so far back with this. Like we'd be here for 3 hours.
All right.
But in short, a lot of it's got to do with a lot of it has to do with Alex joining the band, and she was the missing piece. You know, we've these past 10 years we've released 10 records and sorry, 10 records, 4 records in 10 years, and over that time, I feel like we were still learning on how to become a band. Like we had a few different member changes, and that whole time it felt like nothing, something was always missing. And when Alex joined the band, she came at a time that we thought we were about to break up and we were going to lose 10 years worth of work. And so when Alex joined, we went back to the writing process, and that combined with all the touring we were doing at the time, we'd released Doomswitch, and Doomswitch was self-produced. It was, from where I was sitting at least, it was it had a positively unanimous reaction. And it sort of gave us this self-belief, this sense of self-belief that this was the band's final form. It took us 10 years to reach this final form, for everyone in the band to, finally be looking down the same direction, looking at the same direction. And when we were coming up with the album title, Sean one day was just like, "Hey, I got an idea. Why don't we just call that album? Why don't we just self-title it?" And everyone was like, "Oh yeah, that actually that actually makes sense." So
Yeah, sweet. So can you go into the album a bit deeper from a musical point of view and what you were going for with it?
well, lyrically, you'd have to ask Sean, but I can definitely tell you from, an instrumental point of view. Like I like telling people that there are meaning behind the songs sonically as well. And the difference between this record and all the other ones we've done in the past is that the songs are written to be performed and played live. And when you when you watch songs live, in many examples, the songs that are being performed have different meanings because you're digesting them sort of fourth dimensionally compared to when you listen to the songs through headphones and speakers, you're having a third dimensional auditory experience. And when you watch a band perform those songs live, it becomes something fourth dimensional. So when you watch the songs that are being played off the the new Make Them Suffer record live. We're a very we're a very active we're very active live performers, and the meaning and the message behind all these songs, uh, I like to think, I have a large part to play in writing the music in this band. So I like to think that the songs are a very, very good and honest representation of the adversities that we've faced these past couple of years.
Yeah.
Like you can feel it, in the music. It's like a rage, except rage isn't the right word.
Yeah.
It's not a hatred sort of thing. It's just a type of intensity that can only be explained through watching the music being performed play live.
Yeah, sweet. Now you've released the singles Doomswitch, Epitaph, and Ghost of Me, mate. So overall, would you say they're a good sonic representation of what to expect, or are they only just scratching the surface?
I think every song's different. It really depends on who you ask. Like I've seen people who've said every single so far sounds the same,
Nah.
and there are folks who say no, they all sound completely different. So I like to think that all the songs have their own style, and bar maybe one or two um might sound the same, but I think every track's got its own thing.
Yeah, mate. Well, I had to listen to the album while I was writing the questions up yesterday, and I can tell you emphatically that no two songs sound the same, mate. Like the scope and the diversity you've captured on this album, mate. It's mind blowing. You've done a really good job, bro. So anyone that says
Appreciate
tell them to stick it up their ass because they don't know what they're talking about.
it. Hard agree. Couldn't agree with you more.
Now, the first track on the album, The Warning, it's a bit of an ambient and dreamy start, and then sort of goes into moments of chaos. It's like it's a different way to start an album, but it's pretty effective. Why'd you choose that one?
Well, I mean, I think starting the album that way goes back to our Neverbloom roots. Um, the first record we ever came out with had the exact same thing. It was a operatic intro, and we're just doing the same thing as we did 10, 12 years ago or whatever it was now. So it's a bit of a throwback, but then we've got the new elements, kind of those futuristic elements thrown in as a sort of way to say, oh hey, but we're modernized now. We're modernized, but we haven't forgotten our roots,
Yeah.
sort of thing. So that's the real purpose behind that intro track.
Well, I asked someone else this morning too, bro. Like in the modern age where people stream a lot of music and everything gets shuffled and stuff, like do you still put a lot of thought into the first song on an album, or is it sort of not really as important these days?
Um, no, I think there was a lot of, we were thinking about that very consciously. I think when that song was written, everybody was immediately like, yeah, that's the first track. It's gonna come in with that. So, I know in the past that we've definitely done that in the past and consciously written a song to be like, that's gonna be the first track. This one kind of happened by accident,
Right.
but when it was written, everyone was definitely like, yeah, that's the first one.
Yeah, sweet. This album's also self-produced by the band, mate. So what are some of the advantages and disadvantages of doing that in-house?
Um, well, working with a top level producer, there's a science behind how people consume music, and you typically, like, everyone talks about the pop structure all the time and why that's so effective in attracting new listeners. So a producer, especially a person that is considered to be world class, is able to harness that science, and in consequence, you attract new listeners that way. So the American market, I like to think, is that territory. People who live there are very, very receptive towards that kind of song structure, and I think this time we were kind of like, as as a band that would self-produce a record, we would want to try and harness that. We were trying to blend both worlds. So both worlds being, there's a sense of, there's a commercial aspect, like just a slight commercial aspect that we've applied through learning how to apply this science to music from the past producers that we've worked with. And we're combining it with like the raw authenticity of, I guess, what the band is trying to express. So, a lot of a lot of music. This is obviously just an opinion, but I think a lot of music gets lost because that raw authenticity doesn't get translated properly, right? And we're just lucky enough to have worked with some world-class producers um, who know how to translate it. So we're just trying to apply things we've learned in the past through working with some of the best in the world to our raw authenticity, for lack of a better term.
Sweet, bro, sweet. Now, in broad terms, mate, like your sound blends, there's a lot of styles of metal there. There's a lot going on, but it's sort of mainly melodic death, heavy metalcore, symphonic elements in there. But how difficult is it to get the balance of everything you do right in the creative process?
Um, it's it's usually quite natural. It usually is quite natural. Like if something doesn't come naturally, then you either put it aside, come back to it later, or you ditch it. And there are so many in the process of writing this record. There were so many things written that are just like cast aside. We might use it for the next one. Actually, a lot of our songs are written that way. We use things we've written or used in the past and applied in the future records. But this time around, we've just sort of we've really gone with the flow. And in the past, we may have gone. Does that fit the rest? Does that fit the sound of the rest of the rest of the record? Is that really what we're trying to represent? And this time we're just like, if it sounds good, then put it on. Like, just chuck it on. Who gives a fuck about like, oh, what's this going to mean in the context of the record? Like, we're not thinking about that at all. We're just raw and honest about our sound. Like, if it sounds good, it sounds good. Put it on the record.
Sensational, mate. Well, you've been honest enough to create a cracker of an album, bro, but your self-titled album is out November the 8th. It's bloody awesome work, mate. Congratulations and best of luck with it.
Appreciate it, Chris.